Hey everybody, I'm Cole with Piranha Squirrel Productions, and today we're going to be talking about minis and different play aids you can put at your table. Let's jump in. Okay, as we're going to talk about each of these different kinds of options for your table, I'm going to be scoring them in several different ways. We're going to look at prep, we'll also look at setup time, and those are different in a little bit ways. Prep is going to be like how long it takes you to prepare before you even play the game. So that means like painting, cutting things out, getting it ready. And then setup is like how long it takes for you to actually put it on the table from an empty table. So we've got prep and setup. Then we also have cost, because some of these things are going to cost more than others. And lastly, we'll have aesthetics. That's what it looks like on the table. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at is theater of the mind. This is where you're just imagining everything that's going on at the table. This has zero cost. You don't need to invest anything to get started with theater of the mind. All you have to do is describe it. Now, some people might struggle with describing, and other people might be better at describing things, but once you practice this a few times, I think you'll get better and better. As your descriptions become better, the game can become really immersive within the mind of the players. So the prep is low. You don't need to do anything to prep unless you want to prepare a few things to say in advance. You might have some text that you're going to read to get ready to go. But other than that, there's no prep. Then let's take a look at the setup. It takes no time to set up. You don't have to do anything to set up theater of the mind, except maybe describe things, but then you're still playing the game. You don't have to pause the game to get started with theater of the mind. Cost is, well, nothing. You don't have to pay anything to get started with theater of the mind. But aesthetics, well, there are no aesthetics with theater of the mind. It's just whatever someone can think of. Playing theater of the mind can be really great, but sometimes you're playing a really tactical game and you want to know where all of the pieces are at the same time, and it can be very difficult to know where all the characters are in one person's head. You also might struggle with describing everything clearly, and so you might need some visual aids. In addition, some people have aphantasia, where they can't really imagine things inside their mind, so you might want some visual aids at the table. These next three things we're going to look at will be different options for things you can put on the table physically. All right, let's start with tokens. Tokens can be little discs, they can be things you find around the house, they can be even dice. They're just physical things that can go on the table to help you see where things are at. Tokens are going to be low prep. It's not going to take you a long time to get these things ready. You can even just use little markers. You can use game pieces from other games. So all you have to do is gather those things. Now you can spend a lot more time on tokens and make really nice ones by cutting out pictures and gluing them onto wooden discs or plastic discs and make them look really nice. But most of the time, prep's going to be low. Usually tokens are placed on a 2D map, making setup time medium. You have to place all of the tokens on the map where you want them to go, and then you're ready to play. Cost is low. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money to get a bunch of different tokens. In fact, you can probably use stuff lying around your house, things that you already have, to fill these gaps. I know some people use candy, and then when you knock out the monster, you can take the candy and eat it. Good job. Aesthetics is low. Depending on how much money you're spending on these tokens or how much time you're taking to prepare them, they can look really nice, but usually this kind of prep just looks okay at the table. It gives players what they need tactically to understand the battlefield, but it usually doesn't have the best looks. Let's talk about standees. Standees are 2D paper or cardboard, cardstock that you place upright so that you can see across the table what's going on. The prep for standees is medium. You have to print them out, you have to stand them on their stands, sometimes you might need to color them. So standees take a little bit more time to prep than tokens, but you gain a little bit more in aesthetics. The setup time is the same as tokens. Usually, you just set them up like you would tokens, and you can have a ready to go battle map. The cost for standees is medium. Usually it costs a little bit more to get a nice standee than it would be to just find some token lying around the house, although price ranges vary. Standees hit the medium aesthetic. They're not super nice, but they don't look cheap either. They're a nice middle ground for aesthetics. Next is 3D miniatures. These are going to be high prep. You have to either buy them or print them, and then you have to paint them. Although it's possible to buy pre-painted minis, that's just going to up the cost for you. Setup time is going to be medium, just like standees or tokens. You just have to set these things physically up on the table, and then you're ready to play. 3D minis are high in cost. It costs a lot of money to buy the 3D models. It costs a lot of money to paint the 3D models, but you get a big payoff for aesthetics. 3D minis look amazing at the table, and if you have the time to prepare it and the means to create it, it really can add a lot to your game. That being said, 3D minis are not flexible because it takes so much time to prepare them. Lastly, we're going to talk about virtual tabletop or VTTs. This is where you go online and get digital maps and digital tokens or digital 3D models. The prep time here is usually really high. You have to create the map, you have to create all of the tokens. There are some services that will make these already for you and ready to go, but that's going to probably up the cost. So prep time is high. Setup time though is low. Once you have it ready, all you have to do is share your screen with the other players or have them logged into your VTT and they can see what you can see. The cost is medium. It doesn't cost a whole lot to do VTTs, but usually they have a rolling subscription or you have to buy the assets like the map and the tokens. Their aesthetics are high. You can get some really beautiful maps and really beautiful tokens. And one of the great things about VTTs is there are no storage. It's all on your computer, so you don't have to take up a physical space in your house or apartment. It's just there on your PC. All right, we've talked about lots of different ways for you to make your combat and tactical decisions better at the table. You can use theater of the mind, you can use tokens, you can use standees, you can use 3D miniatures, you can use virtual tabletops. There are lots of different options for you when you're playing any kind of role-playing game. Each of them have their benefits and drawbacks, and I want to remind you, you can use a combination of any of these playstyles. If you're just using a quick skirmish, you can use theater of the mind. If you're going to have a grand epic battle, you can then move to 3D miniatures. So think about which one will work best for your game and apply it at those times. If you're thinking, man, I wish I had something at the table right now that was really inexpensive, well then take a look at our next video where I walk you through how to make standees super cheap. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, check out the links below, share this with your friends.